Okay, so guys, moving on. The next question is, what is the physical state of water at various temperatures which are given to us? So first of all, let us try to understand what are the three different states of water, which are obviously solid, liquid and a gas. So in order to attempt this question, we should be able to segregate what are the temperature ranges at which these three different states of water they exist. Okay? So what we can do, we can simply draw a number line and mark the important temperature ranges, so 0 and 100. So at any temperature below 0 degrees Celsius, water it will exist in the solid form. At a temperature range between 0 to 100, it will exist in the liquid form, and at a temperature above 100 degrees Celsius, it will exist in the gaseous form. So attempting the first part, 25 degrees Celsius, it clearly falls in this particular range of 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. So the answer for this particular part of the question A, that will be a liquid. For the B part, now this is the tricky part of the question. They're asking what is the physical state of water at 0 degrees Celsius. So that is exactly this point, which is in between solid and a liquid. So that means water can actually exist in both solid and the liquid form depending upon the heat of fusion, or specifically we call it the latent heat of fusion. Now let us suppose at 0 degrees Celsius, first of all, we have water in the solid form. Yeah? If you will provide the latent heat of fusion to it, what will happen? It will get converted into the liquid form, but the temperature will remain the same, that is 0 degrees. Yeah. So at 0 degrees Celsius, it can exist in both solid as well as the liquid form. If it is having the latent heat of fusion, it will be in the liquid form. If it is not having, it will be simply in the solid form. Similarly, moving to the C part, you can attempt on the similar lines. So at 100 degrees Celsius, water can actually exist in both liquid as the gaseous form. So in this case, the answer will be liquid and gas. In this case, it will depend upon the latent heat of vaporization. So let us suppose at 100 degrees Celsius, the water is initially in the liquid form. If you will supply the latent heat of vaporization to it, it will get converted into the gaseous form, but the temperature will again remain the same, that is 100 degrees Celsius. Okay. So I hope this part was clear. Moving on, give two reasons to justify water at room temperature is a liquid, and the second part, iron almira is a solid at the room temperature. So attempting the first part of the question, water at room temperature is a liquid. Now guys, for this particular part of the question, you have to basically give similarities between water and a normal liquid on the basis of their properties. Yeah. So what are the properties of a liquid at a room temperature, or basically what are the properties of a liquid, and what are the properties of water at room temperature and how they are similar. So these are the two properties that you can mention. The first one is water has no shape. Yeah. If you look at this part, water has no shape, but it has a fixed volume. Yeah. So this is the first property of water, which is similar to that of a liquid. Yeah. And the second one, at room temperature water flows. Yeah. This is again something which is similar to a liquid. So this confirms water at room temperature is a liquid. Yeah. Moving on to the second part. An iron almira is a solid. So let us consider this is an almira. Now again, you have to give similarities between an almira and a solid at room temperature. Okay. So in this case, these are the 2 points that you can mention. So if you talk about the almira, it has a definite shape, a definite volume. Yeah, and the second one, it is rigid as a solid at room temperature. So based on these two similarities, we can clearly say an iron almirah is a solid at room temperature. I hope this part was clear. Now moving on. The next question is, why is ice at 273 Kelvin more effective in cooling than water at the same temperature? So a little bit part of this particular question we have already done in the previous question. So let us consider 273 Kelvin, which can also be written as 0 degrees Celsius. So at 0 degrees Celsius, water can exist in both the forms, that is solid and liquid. The only difference lies is the heat of fusion, or specifically latent heat of fusion. So in this particular case, when you talk about ice is having, let's say, some energy which we can denote as E, and let us denote latent heat of fusion as HF. So water at 0 degrees Celsius will be having energy E plus HF. So now whenever you want to cool down something, there has to be a greater energy difference. We'll take some random values in order to understand this. Let's say for ice, the initial energy was maybe 100 joules. Let's say the latent heat of fusion in this case is maybe 50 joules. And let's say the substance that you want to cool down, it is having some energy around 400 joules. Now something can be called as effective cooler if it is providing a better, or you can say larger, energy difference. Now we have two options. One is ice and the other one is water. Now if you talk about ice is providing us energy of 100 joules, whereas water, it is providing 100 plus the extra latent heat of fusion, that is 50. So in this case, the total energy of water will be 150. Now if you look at the difference, in this case the difference is 300 joules. In this case, the energy difference is 250 joules. So the greater energy difference you are getting in the case of ice, because it is not having that extra latent heat of fusion in it. So ice will clearly be a better cooler in this case. I hope this particular part was clear. Now moving on. The next question is, what produces more severe burns, boiling water or steam? So again, this question is very similar to the previous one. So looking at this particular case, we are having two things. One is water and the other one is steam, both at the same temperature, 100 degrees Celsius. Now if you want to cause severe burns, not basically cause severe burns, if you want to basically heat something or basically give heat energy to something, so that particular object needs to possess an extra amount of heat energy in it. So at 100 degrees Celsius we can have water, and at 100 degrees Celsius we can also have steam. Again, taking the same case, let's say for water, it has only some energy which we can denote as E, but steam at the same temperature will be having energy E plus the latent heat of vaporization. Now again, taking that particular case as we took in the previous one, let us consider there is an object that we want to heat, which is having, let's say, some energy, maybe 10 joules. Water, let's say for E, we can denote a value, again the same 100 joules, and for HP we can take a value of, let's say, 50 joules. So this total will be 150 joules, because E was 100. Now once you want to heat something, so there has to be again a greater heat energy difference. The better will be the heat energy difference, the more is the heat energy difference, the better will be the heating. So if we look at this particular case, the heat energy difference is 90 joules. But in this case, the heat energy difference is 140 joules. Yeah. So you can clearly see, greater is the heat energy difference, the better will be the heating. Yeah. So at the same temperature, it is the steam that will be a better heater, or in other terms, you can say it will be causing severe burns. I hope this part was clear. Now moving on. This is the last question of the exercise. So here we have a flow chart, yeah, and we have various denotions on it. So in this particular question, we have to basically denote the values A, B, C, D, E and F, okay, based on whatever change of state is happening. So we'll start with the first one, which is A. So a solid is getting converted into a liquid. Okay? So a solid is getting converted into a liquid. We can call that process as melting. Okay? When a liquid is getting converted into the gaseous form, which is the B part, we can call it vaporization. Sorry. Now, moving to the C part, when the gas is getting converted into the liquid, we can call it condensation. Okay. Moving to the next part, when the liquid is getting converted into the solid, we can call it solidification. Now, there are two more parts left to this particular question, the E part. So E basically denotes a conversion of solid directly into the gaseous form. Yeah. So as we all know, it is sublimation. Very similarly, if you look at the F part, it says there is a conversion of a gas directly into the solid. So in this case, again, the answer is sublimation. Yeah. So sublimation is basically a term that we can use for the vice versa conversion, that is from a solid to a gas, and inversely from gas to a solid. I hope this part was clear. Okay. So I hope all the answers for this particular chapter were really helpful for you, and they were pretty easy to understand. So thanks for watching.